So today I'm going to be making one of my more requested videos, and that is how I look after my car detailing equipment and accessories, and what I do at the end of the wash process to keep everything nice and clean and tidy. So the very first thing that I do when I've finished up the wash is clean out my buckets. Now I always like to give these a very thorough rinse, and then I give them a wipe down with either a quick detailer or all-purpose cleaner on a microfiber towel, just to make sure they're clean, dry and ready to be packed away. I do always give the outside of the buckets a wipe down as well, as I can't really stand it if there's mud flicked up onto them. I just don't think it looks great, and I think it's a good idea to keep all the equipment just as clean as I can. The next thing that I do is pack away my pressure washer equipment. So that starts by popping my short trigger and my nozzles back on my holder, and then I wrap up the hose on my wall mounted hose reel, as my Kranzel K10 doesn't have an integrated one. I always give the hose a wipe as I'm reeling it in, as it's likely that it's picked up a decent bit of dirt and gravel, and it doesn't really take any extra time to do this, and again keeps everything really nice and clean. Now I do periodically give my short trigger and my nozzles a bit of a deeper clean. They always get a wipe down after use, but I do use my scrub pads as well, roughly once a month. I store my car detailing chemicals in both my bottle holders on the wall and in my cabinets. I do always give those just a quick wipe with a microfiber towel to pick up any chemical residue, as a couple of shelves in my cabinets have got a bit of damage from chemicals dripping onto them. So I've learnt my lesson and just pop everything away when it's clean and dry now. My IK sprayers always get a rinse through with clean water after I've finished draining the tank. This just helps to flush them through and generally keeps them quite clean and stops any chemical residue clogging them up. I do also give my IK sprayers a deep clean roughly every few months, and this just involves quickly taking them apart, checking the filters to see if they need replacing yet, and wiping any chemical residue that might be in the head units before reassembling them and popping them away in my cabinets. My foam cannons always get a rinse through after use, and I just do this by connecting them up to the pressure washer and spraying them through for about 10 to 15 seconds. Again, I do like to give these a periodic deep clean, but I typically only do this roughly every 6 months. This again does involve taking them apart, checking the filters, seeing if they need replacing, and again looking for any chemical residue that could cause clogging. Rinsing them through after each wash does really reduce the frequency I need to do this, but again I do think it's a good idea to take them apart from time to time to make sure that they're performing to the maximum capability. My foam cannons then just get stored on the quick release wall mounts. I do own a brand called Detail Locker, which is for car detailing storage solutions. I will pop a link to the store in the description in case you are interested in them too. I keep all our polishing pads in a bucket of water once I've finished using them on the car, but before I've fully packed everything away. This just stops the polish drying out and making them more difficult to clean. In order to clean them though, I just use all-purpose cleaner, work that through the pad and rinse them thoroughly. I then leave them to dry out face down on a microfiber towel so they don't pick up any dust. My polishers always get cleaned after use, and usually just a wipe with a microfiber towel is sufficient, but if they are a touch dirtier and have some polish residue on them, then I will give them a clean with the scrub pads as well. And also on my corded machine, I do like to give that cable a wipe down after use, again before popping things in the cabinet, as I'm really not a fan if my cabinets get dirty. The rest of my detailing equipment always gets wiped down after use, but my vac spot wash gets a bit of a deeper clean, as obviously that gets pretty gross when I'm doing any interior extraction work. So this has a self-clean function, so I can just pop the hose in the back, give it a run through and keep that nice and clean. The dirty tank then gets emptied and rinsed out thoroughly to make sure that's nice and fresh and there's no stagnant water sitting there until it's next used again. My detailing brushes always get a rinse through after I've finished using them. This is typically enough to get rid of the chemical residue that's on there. Once I've properly rinsed them, I do give them a dry with a microfiber towel, and once they're dry, I'll pop them back in the detailing brush holders, ready to be used on the next wash. All my other car detailing accessories, like my little scrub pads and my tyre dressing applicators for example, all get cleaned using all-purpose cleaner just to get them nice and fresh before I give them a rinse and leave them to dry. The tyre dressing applicators in particular can get a little bit grubby and I can't get them 100% clean, but this does freshen them up so that I can use a different product next time without it really getting contaminated. My microfiber towels always get cleaned after every use, and I do have a longer, more in-depth video on how I look after these towels on my second channel, which I'll of course link in the description. But the basic rules to keep in mind are not to use heat, so I typically wash them on a 30-degree cycle. And I just use non-bio liquid or a microfiber detergent. I don't use any fabric softeners. And I always make sure it's a liquid detergent and don't use any powders. Once they're washed, I do hang them up to dry indoors so they don't collect dust. And after that, they get packed away in the drawers. Every week, I will also give my garage a bit of a clean. So this just involves a quick vacuum and steam clean of the floor. And then I always wipe down the cabinets just using a rinseless wash to tidy up any dust or fingerprints. If you do want to see a little bit more on how I organise all my car detailing accessories, equipment and chemicals, then I will pop a link in the description to my garage tour which takes you through all that. And if you have enjoyed this particular video, then it would be brilliant if you could drop it a like, and thanks very much for watching.